Ad hominem. The ad hominem fallacy occurs when someone attacks the person making an argument rather than the argument itself. Instead of addressing the points raised, the speaker focuses on character flaws, background, or other irrelevant attributes of the opponent. Straw man. The straw man fallacy involves misrepresenting or exaggerating someone else's argument to make it easier to attack. By distorting the original point, the person committing this fallacy sets up a weaker version of the argument, which is easier to refute. Appeal to ignorance. The appeal to ignorance fallacy asserts that a proposition is true simply because it has not been proven false, or vice versa. This fallacy hinges on the assumption that lack of evidence against something is taken as proof that it is correct. False dilemma. The false dilemma, or false dichotomy, presents only two options in a situation where more exist. It frames the argument as an either/or scenario, leaving no room for alternative viewpoints or solutions. Slippery slope. The slippery slope fallacy suggests that a relatively small first step inevitably leads to a chain of related events culminating in a significant, usually negative, effect. This fallacy relies on fear and speculation rather than logic. Circular reasoning. Circular reasoning occurs when the conclusion of an argument is assumed in the premise. Essentially, the argument goes in a circle without proving anything new, merely restating the initial assumption. Hasty generalization. A hasty generalization is made when a conclusion is drawn based on insufficient or biased evidence. It involves jumping to conclusions without considering all relevant information. Red herring. The red herring fallacy diverts attention away from the original argument by introducing an irrelevant topic. This distraction can lead the discussion away from the core issue, making it harder to address the original point. Bandwagon fallacy. The bandwagon fallacy is based on the assumption that something is true or correct simply because it is popular or widely accepted. This fallacy plays on the human tendency to follow the crowd rather than critically assess the situation. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. This Latin term translates to after this, therefore because of this. The fallacy assumes that because one event followed another, the first event must have caused the second. It's a common error in reasoning that mistakes correlation for causation. Appeal to emotion. The appeal to emotion fallacy manipulates emotions to win an argument, rather than using logic or reason. It might involve evoking fear, pity, anger, or joy to distract from the actual issues at hand. Genetic fallacy. The genetic fallacy judges an argument based on its origin or the origin of the person making it, rather than the argument's merits. This fallacy dismisses an argument because of where it comes from, not because of its content. Equivocation. Equivocation occurs when a key term in an argument is used in an ambiguous way, with one meaning in one part of the argument and another meaning in another part. This shift in meaning undermines the argument's validity. False equivalence. The false equivalence fallacy occurs when two things are presented as being equal when they are not. No True Scotsman. The no True Scotsman fallacy is a form of circular reasoning where a generalization is made about a group, and when an exception is found, the group is redefined to exclude that exception. This fallacy protects the generalization from counterexamples. Loaded question. A loaded question contains a presupposition that traps the respondent into seeming to agree with something they may not actually agree with. It's designed to make one answer appear more favorable, regardless of the respondent's intent. Composition/division. The composition fallacy assumes that what is true for the parts must be true for the whole, while the division fallacy assumes that what is true for the whole must be true for the parts. These fallacies arise from errors in reasoning about the relationship between parts and wholes. Appeal to nature. The appeal to nature fallacy argues that because something is natural, it is inherently good or right, or because something is unnatural, it is bad or wrong. Appeal to consequences. The appeal to consequences fallacy argues that a belief is either true or false based on the consequences of accepting or rejecting it. This fallacy conflates the desirability of an outcome with the truth of a statement. Appeal to fear. The appeal to fear fallacy, or scare tactics, attempts to win an argument by instilling fear rather than by providing logical reasoning. Gambler's fallacy. The gambler's fallacy occurs when someone assumes that past events can affect the likelihood of something happening in the future, despite each event being independent. It's a common error in probability reasoning, especially in games of chance. Appeal to spite. The appeal to spite fallacy dismisses an argument based on bitterness or spite, rather than addressing the actual merits of the argument. It uses negative emotions to influence a decision or judgment. Middle ground fallacy. The middle ground fallacy assumes that the truth must lie somewhere between two opposing viewpoints. It suggests that a compromise between two extremes is always the correct answer. Burden of proof. The burden of proof fallacy occurs when the responsibility of proof is placed on the wrong party. Special pleading. Special pleading is when someone makes an exception to a rule or standard without justifying why the exception should apply. This fallacy often appears in arguments where someone tries to protect their position from criticism. Personal incredulity. The personal incredulity fallacy occurs when someone finds something difficult to understand and therefore concludes it must be false. It's a rejection based on personal lack of knowledge rather than evidence. Argument from silence. The argument from silence fallacy suggests that because someone did not say something, it must be true or false. It assumes that the absence of evidence is itself evidence of absence, which is a flawed reasoning approach. Nirvana fallacy. The Nirvana fallacy involves rejecting a solution because it is not perfect, while ignoring the fact that it might still be the best option available. It compares a realistic solution to an idealized, impossible one and dismisses it for not meeting the perfect standard. This video is for educational or entertainment purposes only, and information provided in the video may be incorrect. Like the video if you found this video helpful, and subscribe to the channel for more such amazing videos.